Today I'm going to show you how to make these air fryer protein apple fritters that also happen to be gluten-free. As I record this video, it is peak apple picking season, and this is a great fall recipe for you to try out to curb your sweet tooth. Here's how you make them. The recipe that I use in this video will make 2 apple fritters, and to start, you need 1/2 of a medium apple, or about 60 grams. Using a vegetable peeler, and hopefully one that's better than the one I'm trying to use, peel away the skin from the apple. Now any kind of apple will work here, but I prefer to have something a little bit sweeter, so a Fuji or a Honeycrisp would be my recommendation. Cut the apple into a small to medium dice, shooting for something around 1/4 inch cubes. Peeling the apple is an optional step. It's not going to make or break anything in this recipe. Half the time when I make these fritters, I don't bother to peel it to make things move a bit quicker, and they still turn out awesome. The peeled apple just gives you a bit of a softer bite when you hit the apple chunks. Now I'm sure some of you are wondering what you're supposed to do with the extra half apple. I just eat it as I prepare the fritters. I live by myself, and 2 fritters is a good amount for me to make at one time. If I used the whole apple and made 4 fritters, I would absolutely eat all 4 because I have no self-control. While you still have that knife and cutting board out, take 1 tablespoon of butter and cut it into a small dice. Next, we can mix our dry ingredients together. We're going to start with 1/3 of a cup, or about 50 grams of the TMPM protein pancake mix. If you don't know what that is, it's a combination of whey, casein, oat flour, cornstarch, and baking powder. Then add 1 teaspoon or 4 grams of cinnamon and 1 tablespoon or 15 grams of brown sugar. Mix that all together to incorporate. The protein pancake mix is something that I batch prep and always have ready to go in my pantry in case I ever want to make pancakes or things like these apple fritters. I'll include a link to that pancake mix recipe from my website in the description of this video below. Next, add the butter to the bowl with the dry mix and cut it into the flour mixture with a fork. This will be similar to making a pie crust. You want to try and distribute the butter evenly throughout the flour mixture by pressing it into the flour with the back of your fork. You'll have to clean it off the back of the fork every once in a while, but keep working it until it is evenly incorporated. Then you're going to add 1/4 of a cup or 50 grams of plain non-fat Greek yogurt. Mix that together with the dry mix until it is fully hydrated, and then you can add in your apples. You will want to make sure the dough is completely wet before you add in your apples, otherwise it gets harder to hydrate the dough to where it needs to be. You can see here, I did not do that. For some reason I added the apples early and it took me way longer to mix than it needed to. Don't do it like this. Your dough should end up looking something like what I have here. It will be a shaggy, wet mixture. To cook these apple fritters, we're going to use the air fryer, and in order to do that, we need to prepare some parchment paper first. So tear 2 strips of parchment paper about apple fritter size and spray lightly with some oil. Divide your dough into 2 and place each half on 1 piece of the parchment paper, spreading out into an apple fritter shape. The dough is quite sticky, so it's not the easiest thing in the world to work with. You may want to wet your fingers before you touch it, or wet the back of a fork, depending on what you're going to use to form it into shape. Keep working it until it has reached a form that you are happy with. These aren't going to expand or spread much, so the shape that you end up with will be about the same as what you have formed at this step. At some point before you begin the formation process, you'll want to preheat your air fryer to 325 degrees Fahrenheit, and then place the fritters into the basket of the air fryer on the parchment paper and spray the top lightly with a bit of oil. Cooking times can vary depending on your air fryer, but you're going to start at 325 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 to 15 minutes and flip them halfway through. For your icing, mix together 3 tablespoons or 25 grams of powdered sugar and 1 teaspoon or 5 grams of milk. It really doesn't take much liquid to turn this sugar into icing, so add it slowly, and if you need to, you can always add more powdered sugar as well. Get this icing prepared while your fritters are cooking so you have it ready by the time they come out. Sometime around the 7 or 8 minute mark, you want to pull open that basket and check on your fritters. If the top is properly browned, flip them over and return it into the air fryer to finish cooking. The extra protein in the batter paired with the brown sugar will allow these fritters to develop some deep Maillard browning, and when you pull them out of the air fryer, they should be a wonderful golden brown color. I find that the air fryer does an awesome job at cooking these. All of those little craggly bits on top that come from the formation of the fritter crisp up nicely and provide lots of surface area for the icing to latch onto. If you plan to eat these right away, you can ice them immediately, or if you're going to store them for later, I would recommend only icing right before you plan to eat them. If you decide to save for later, you can always reheat them again in the air fryer or the microwave, and then just add the icing whenever you're ready. Each one of these little guys has about 261 calories and 12.4 grams of protein. I will include the full written recipe on how you make these apple fritters in the description of the video below, and I'll also include a link to the recipe on my website. MealPrepManual.com is the home of the best meal prep recipes on the internet. There are hundreds of recipes that were specifically designed for meal prep with all the nutritional information already estimated for you. So go check it out. I'll talk to you cats next week.